Clone Troopers have captured the hearts and minds of Star Wars fans everywhere. Anyone who watches animated series like The Clone Wars or The Bad Batch develops a strong bond with the soldiers of the Republic. Part of what makes them so interesting is how unique they all are, despite being exact copies of one another. Just about everyone has their own favorite clone, minus fives by the way. There's an entire generation of Star Wars fans who were introduced to Star Wars through The Clone Wars. Their Star Wars experience has been defined by the story of the Clone Troopers. It's no surprise the clones are well loved. Unfortunately, that wasn't exactly the case in the Star Wars universe itself. Today we're going to talk about what happened to the clones after the Clone Wars came to an end. The short and sad version is that they were abandoned by the government and the people they spent 3 years fighting for. In Emperor Palpatine's eyes, they were not people. They were simply tools that brought about the destruction of the Jedi Order. They might as well have been walking inhibitor chips with blasters. So it was a surprise to the Sith Lord that they developed so much individuality. They were born and bred to be loyal, but they learned to question orders and have debates between right and wrong. The inhibitor chips did their jobs and largely took away the free will of the clones, but it quickly became clear that they weren't permanent solutions. Clones like Commander Grey and Hauser were able to fight the effects of Order 66 and break out of the control of their chips, questioning orders, and in some cases even saving the lives of surviving Jedi. Palpatine could no longer rely on the clones to carry out his will. Project Warmantle took shape almost immediately following the Clone Wars. Its purpose was to replace the clone troopers with new Imperial volunteers who chose to fight rather than be born and raised into service, although eventually the Imperial army would be made up of conscripts as well. Clone troopers and specifically clone commandos were tasked with training those new soldiers who came to be known as TK troopers. As the need for new clones faded, the Empire destroyed the cloning facilities on Kamino under the command of Admiral Rampart. When evidence of the attack was brought to the Imperial Senate, Palpatine himself seized the moment to fully announce the introduction of the Stormtrooper Corps to replace the clones, who he ironically accused of being too loyal to Rampart, opening fire on their homeworld without question. This encouraged anti-clone sentiment among the Imperial Senate and population. The enraging debate about whether or not they were considered to be individuals or property was already in full swing, now viewing them as nothing more than mindless order-following drones. Despite that being far from the truth, the Empire was ready to abandon the clones who fought and died to protect the Republic. Some senators, like Chuchi of Pantora, attempted to provide governmental aid to the clones, but such bills were voted down. Many clones wound up begging in the streets, and it can be argued that they were the lucky ones. With nowhere else to turn, many clones remained with the Empire, hoping to be useful enough to continue their military service. But as time went on, more and more clones fought against the control of their inhibitor chips. Any who showed signs of defiance were sent to a secret Imperial installation on the planet Wayland called Mount Tantus. There they suffered at the hands of Dr. Royce Hemlock, who experimented on them, hoping to unlock the secrets of life after death for Emperor Palpatine. One clone held there, named Omega, wasn't a trooper at all, but was in fact a female but otherwise unaltered clone of Jango Fett. Her blood was the key to Hemlock's plans, but she and several other clone troopers were rescued by Clone Force 99, a group of genetically enhanced clones. The Tantus installation was left in ruins, Hemlock was killed, and the clones that survived retired to a peaceful world called Pabu. Even still, several clone troopers remained in Imperial service, training TK and stormtroopers. A very select few were indeed proven to be loyal enough to become stormtroopers themselves, or would even rise through the ranks enough to serve as a member of Palpatine's Royal Guard. One member of the Red Guard was confirmed to be a clone during an assassination attempt against the Emperor about 5 years after the end of the Clone Wars. A clone named Crag was present for the brief interrogation of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker in Mos Eisley, and a trooper named Torrent served as a sergeant for the Empire after the Battle of Yavin and the destruction of the Death Star, but these were very rare cases. Many of their brothers joined the opposite side of the fight. After years of peace on Pabu, Omega joined the Rebel Alliance with the blessing of her brothers. The clones Rex, Gregor, and Wolf spent several years fishing Jupa on the planet Selos until they were sought out by the members of Phoenix Cell. Rex quickly decided to fight once more. His new adventures allowed him to witness what could be considered the final battle of the Clone Wars against a number of battle droids who defied their shutdown order. Rex was also present for the Battle of Endor, one of the final fights of the Galactic Civil War. Little is known about the clones during the time of the New Republic after the fall of the Empire. A man named Skonto living on Utapau claimed to be the son of a clone, so it's possible some of them settled down and had families similar to Cut Lawquane. At least we can hope they had happy endings. We only currently know of one clone who miraculously survived until the rise of the First Order. Kix was a medic who served in the 501st Legion alongside Rex during the Clone Wars. He learned the truth of the inhibitor chips and Order 66, making him an enemy of then Chancellor Palpatine. Kix was captured and placed in stasis aboard a Separatist ship, where he was to be taken for interrogation, but the ship was lost after a droid jumped it through hyperspace at random coordinates. It crashed on the Desert World Panema terminal, where it remained for 50 years. Legend grew of a lost Separatist treasure, and it was eventually found by the pirate Sedan Athano, also known as the Crimson Corsair. Kix awoke from stasis and was disheartened to learn of the loss of the Jedi Order. With nowhere left to turn, he joined Athano's crew, and so the last living clone trooper became a pirate. And that's what happened to the clone troopers after the Clone Wars, at least all we know of for now. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.